Welcome to the first STARS Alumni Lounge. I'm David Dorn, Director of Programs and Communication at STARS. This is a new format exclusively for STARS alumni, friends of STARS, and donors. And it's great to see so many familiar faces from Zurich to Singapore, all the way to Sydney, in fact. Welcome to all of you. Today we talk with Shira KAPLAN about the role of cybersecurity in a hyper-digitalized economy. Shira is the founder and CEO of Cyverse, a company providing cutting-edge cyber defense technologies for enterprises. Her own tech training dates back to her military service in the Israeli elite technology unit of the intelligence. In addition to leading Cyverse, Shira is also an active angel investor in Israeli tech and cybersecurity startups, and she is a mother of 3 children. Good morning to you, Shira. Great to see you as well, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to to reconnect. I was at STARS actually in 2015, and I have been very happy to be engaged and follow your success in the last few years. Thank you for having me. With your permission, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a few slides, and then we can open this for a conversation. I hope you can see now my slides. Can you just do maybe something like this if you see it?
Looks good. Yes, perfect. Looks good.
Great. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the role of cybersecurity in a hyper-digitalized economy. And you know already my background. Like David said, I served in the intelligence for a couple of years in the elite technology unit of the Israeli intelligence. And this is where I kind of got delved into the world of cybersecurity for the first time for 2 years when I was 18 years old. And that's also the business that I really wanted to start here in Switzerland. I came here 10 years ago, did a little bit of private banking and realized that, you know, there was so much opportunity coming out of Israel in cybersecurity. And this is what I wanted to do. And this is how I really started Cyverse. Let's delve a little bit into what we know with COVID. So we've seen with COVID, the last year has been pretty painful for a lot of these businesses, and what suffered mainly were physical businesses. So anything around airlines, airline catering, hotels, and restaurants. I mean, we've all seen that these were pretty painful businesses to be in. Whereas what thrived were businesses around kind of making commodities available, right, to us at home. So companies like Uber or Wolt. We've seen a lot of Swiss Post trucks running around Switzerland while the streets were empty. We've seen obviously e-commerce websites that were growing nicely, like Amazon, Galaxus. And if you were at home, like most of us were, you were probably watching quite a lot of Netflix. And if kind of following the public markets, if you were a tech investor in the last 12 months, you were pretty happy to invest in Netflix, which went up 86% in the last 12 months. Microsoft going up 61%. If you're a Zoom investor, you must be even happier over the last 12 months. And Amazon just continuing to grow in the public market. The shift in digital consumer behavior during COVID was also strong. We've seen 44% increase in social media consumption, right? We spent 70% more time on our smartphones, and there was 80% higher traffic on media sites. Video games, for example, sales of video games in the US went up 39%. And we're talking here about the last year, so 2020. So needless to say, this whole digitalization, I mean, we call it digitalization on steroids, was taking place. And but you could really only go digital to a certain extent during this time. One of my favorite companies during COVID was actually Breitling. a luxury watch, a traditional business business of selling luxury watches, which Georges Kennan, one of my role models from this industry, has digitalized and made available on e-commerce. And I'm actually waiting for my first Breitling to come actually today. I'm very, very excited about it. Even on ski resorts, for example, in St. Moritz, you could stand in line and start ordering your food at the restaurants through an app. So you didn't have to communicate actually with anybody. But if you were like a hairdresser, I'm not really sure that you could digitalize, or maybe just to some extent, but you probably lost the business. But it was very clear that the new equation was digitalize or perish. And that created very strong implications for cybersecurity. And the reason is that so digital adoption has taken a quantum leap at the organizational and industry level, and that we've talked about. We can come back later to this slide, but I want to jump to the cybersecurity angle of this. COVID was really a paradise for hackers, and the reason it was a paradise for hackers is that it increased what we call the attack surface. For hackers. So we're much more connected. We're spending much more time online. Our networks are blurred. Our devices are blurred. And this is really creating a fantastic opportunity for hackers. So if we see kind of notable attacks that took place during COVID, there were over 1,700 high-risk coronavirus websites that were named each day during COVID. Only in April last year, Google blocked 18 million daily phishing emails that were related to coronavirus. And there were thousands of COVID response team email addresses that were compromised in April 2020. This is from the Panda Security. It was really an opportunity for hackers to act. And in fact, we are aware that there is right now a pretty significant attack that is taking place globally. And we know that because a lot of our customers are calling us and are reporting that they're in the middle of an incident and they need help. So there's also something going on right now. Hyper-digitalization, what this means for cybersecurity, like I said, is really the bigger attack surfaces. And I've mentioned already a few of those trends. The home networks that suddenly started serving corporate needs and created this heightened risk. The devices that are suddenly serving more than just one purpose, both work and leisure. Suddenly we have this virtual meeting like this one now that actually were hacked. So Zoom sessions were hacked and taken over by hackers. We've seen a surge in darknet related activity. You can think about it. There's a lot of unemployment going on, and the darknet is providing employment opportunities for unemployed people. So ransomware as a service is becoming a real job. And last but not least, the cloud, the use of the cloud as it increased, suddenly there are many more problems with identity access management on the public cloud. So this was kind of the connection between hyper-digitalization and cybersecurity. The trends that we have seen with Cyverse, and I'll say maybe one word about Cyverse in a moment. We've seen cloud security. We've seen customers that are buying more cloud security products. We've seen customers moving into software-based network segmentation rather than firewalls. We've seen customers that are trying to automate their penetration testing rather than just do a one-year pen testing. We've seen darknet monitoring by customers that are worried about cyber attacks or attacks on their executives, for example, or wanting to protect their brands. And we've also seen cybersecurity for digital assets. going very up high, and IoT security, OT security is quite strong now in the DACH region, as well as training employees for phishing and learning. Training against phishing. And last but not least, we've seen companies starting to buy cybersecurity for railway. So these are some of the trends, and I think I may have given you enough food for thought. I'll be happy to tell you more about what we do and how we invest, but maybe I leave it here. I do have a few more slides for what executives should be thinking and doing, and but I want to leave it here because I promised only a 10-minute opening, and we take it from here. I hope that's fine, David.